Hi, welcome to Fight It Ashore. Analyze and solve pure kerfuffles from a world of beyond.
Okay.
And you wonder why YouTube considers us not advertising worthy.
Fuck those guys. Fuck them.
Hey, again, working blue.
That's it. You know.
You got to wait at least 5 minutes to start cursing. If you could wait 5 minutes, then maybe we could get monetized.
Let's see. I'm your host, Alexi Old. Joining me as always is Canadian Bloody Elbow and EUGENE'S Robinson for Aussie.com and author of Fight. Everything everyone about asking. We're afraid you get your ass kicked for asking.
Nice. Nicely done. Okay.
I'm very punch holes. And, I probably shouldn't even say that word because they might think it's something else.
Well, you're mispronouncing it, too.
It's pancholes. Pancholes.
And then we should have some theme music. Hey, what can you say? It's a section of music. What can you say? Go ahead. Try.
I'm rendered speechless.
Yeah.
Rendered speechless.
So, since we're on the topic of race baiting promotional tactics, Eugene, you're
come on. It's a
Floyd
section of music.
you're Floyd. Mammy! Come on!
That's
it's
a
just
word.
A Negro spiritual.
That's a word. It's not a song.
Right, exactly.
It's not a rhythm.
As long as we don't do Dixie, right? Where this old darky heart am longing to go.
They're words. Those are words.
So I was like, damn it. He's like, I said 5 minutes.
All right.
So we're really going to test those screeners, right? Like how, aware. Look, if Connor didn't know the boy was an offensive term, then how are the dudes in India going to know that, Negro spirituals and stuff, the ones who are screening this stuff? Anyway, so Eugene, you're Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
Former 2-weight world boxing champion Conor McGregor's sparring partner, Paulie Malignaggi, told ESPN's Brett Okamoto live and in public, if you will, he's got a game plan. It's not what people think. But there is a method to his madness. Mm-hmm. How do you publicly and privately handle this?
Well, if I'm Mayweather, I keep my mouth shut, and through back channels, if I'm planning to lose, through back channels, put 100 mil on McGregor, break the bank in Vegas. But I have to tell you, I had an illuminating conversation. I'm not going to go into it in such great depth. I alluded to it a little bit on Knuckle Up, but this weekend in New York, I had a great conversation with cat who will remain nameless, HBO Boxing, and got some incredible insight into. And I said point blank, do you think that this helps boxing? Do you think it hurts boxing? Helps boxing at the expense of MMA? And he goes, I'm a fan of both. But I got to tell you, this is, even though MMA doesn't have any mega fights on its horizon, this is needed by boxing more than it's needed by MMA, which I thought was a compelling take. He goes, yeah, you got Canelo and GGG coming up, but what is that in a 365-day run? What the fuck is that? That this is a circus, but it's the biggest circus in town. It's nobody in the UFC is going to get $100 million for doing anything in the UFC who's not bald. But the reality of it is, this is more of a diversion for boxing than it is for MMA, and it's a necessary diversion because it helps boxing more than it helps MMA. But to answer your question, if I'm Floyd Mayweather, I go back to training and ignore it. I don't give a fuck about what he does. It's not, you can't hurt what you can't hit, and he's been a career of over 49 freaking matches of managing really nicely to not get hit, and if McGregor's gonna try I'm gonna get under his skin and he's gonna bull rush me like Jose Aldo, that's not gonna happen, man. That's not gonna happen. You ever hear that expression, up shit creek without a paddle? I think largely, he's got a ref there helping him with the rules. Are you kidding? Do you think that this is something that you've learned? Do you think that this is something that you've learned well enough to excel? You know, just because you can, you can swing your fist doesn't mean that all the minutia, the footwork, the feints, all that shit. The guy's been doing it since he was a kid, who comes from a family who's been doing it probably longer. I don't really see it. I don't really see him being able, with the 2 target zones he has, the head, the gut. I don't see him being able to do it. And realistic, I mean, I know as journalists we want to maintain the illusion that we haven't decided to the very end, but this is a monkey show, and I'm not going to participate in that kind of shit. The reality of it is, even the way you hit people in MMA is fundamentally different than boxers are used to hitting people who don't have to worry about kicks or takedowns. So, I'm glad to see McGregor getting paid, and I know a loss for McGregor doesn't mean shit. He loses in a boxing match. Oh, well. Excuse me as I drive over my rolls. Ta-ta. So if I'm Mayweather, I do nothing. I'm training like I'm training for Pacquiao, like I train for all the other fights. It's a boxing match, Unless dude pulls off some distinctly stinky shit that results in him getting DQ'd, I got nothing to worry about.
What do you think, Nate?
Well, I got to look at this in a meta sense as fight promo, not fight strategy. Because Mayweather knows enough to know that when the leprechauns are chattering, it's just shillelaghs and rainbows and gold dust.
Always after me, Lucky Charms.
Yeah. Like, just don't listen to anything.
Is that pejorative?
It's
on this show, no.
Yes, it's totally.
Okay.
It's
especially once you crack out the bad accent skit.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, I mean, from Mayweather's perspective, this is good news because this is getting people interested in the fight. This is giving people a reason to convince themselves that there's a fight happening, not a mismatch. So this is good for Mayweather. Like, he should encourage more of this talk of, maybe Conor does have a magic shillelagh packed in his glove. I mean, that's the kind of speculation I think Mayweather wants to encourage, because he wants people to buy the fight, give him some money like me. Like, I'm like Mayweather throwing out ones.
Making it rain, baby.
Yeah, making it rain.
That's all you're worth. So do you think that Paulie's connection to the infamous pre and post fight hype shows for Showtime also makes it more suspicious, like his talk about Conor McGregor's plan? In other words, do you think that he has a financial incentive to gin stuff up?
I mean, yeah. Yeah, of course. I would hope. I mean, there's plenty of money in this pie, and he's getting paid to spar, presumably. So, of course, he's got a financial incentive.
Everybody connected to this fight outside of you and me, and I'm not even sure about you, has a financial incentive in this fight.
That's what it's for. Money Mayweather. Money McGregor.
Well, speaking of money and Mayweather, Nate, you're a basketball player, an alleged source of Floyd Mayweather's 2010 domestic battery case, C.J. Watson. In January, Conor McGregor used your name to troll Floyd Mayweather in a Macmoji. Last week, he followed up by posting an Instagram wearing your Warriors throwback jersey. Is your best PR move to respond or to move on?
Move on, man. There's nothing good coming out of this for Watson. And I don't know what his status is. The whole reason that McGregor's doing this is because Watson has been involved with Mayweather's baby mama, his ex, and allegedly Mayweather assaulted her because he found texts to or from Watson on her phone. So Watson's all tangled up with the drama of the Mayweathers, and if he's in a relationship with the mother of Mayweather's children and she still has a relationship with the kids and Floyd has a relationship with the kids, the last thing you want to do is stir that shit pile.
But if not,
I would just zip my lip and move on down the road, because Watson isn't making any money off this fight. So it's just a cheap shot from McGregor, and I think a fair one given Mayweather's history. So,
and a cleverly done one, actually, because remember, we were talking, not this week or maybe the week before, we were talking about how this this fucking terrible abortion of a press tour that there were, despite the so-called quasi pseudo race blast that they had assiduously stayed away from domestic abuse issues. And this was a clever way to an answer to that, lest it seem too contrived.
And it baited a much bigger fish into responding on Twitter, because Draymond Green wears that jersey number now, and he tweeted at McGregor, "Hey, yo, I'm with Mayweather, take my shirt off." And McGregor gets to explain and everything, and so more people are paying attention, and that was pretty slick. I don't know if he did that on purpose, but it was slick.
It seems to me, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the great 1970s flick Rollerball.
Yes,
but it seems
I actually wrote the script for this.
How old were you in 1976?
I was 7, but I've seen it many times since.
Yeah,
then.
all right.
That makes a lot of sense watching that movie.
Yep. I mean, it seems at this point, my advice to you is this, Claudius: trust no one. I mean, I know they're all in on the kill take, man. They're the rich guys who are getting their seats comped, and they're guys like yous and me's who are like trying to put together some scratch to get a hotel room in Vegas, get a seat to watch circus. And I'm okay. At this point now, if you've got more sausages on your plate than I have on my plate, I got to assume that your objective is to get me to give you a sausage for a seat at the fight, because I know damn well you're not paying for one. So Draymond Green, that's great. CJ, yeah, that's great. I mean, as a matter of course, I think it's a shabby maneuver dragging in the innocents, civilians. But whatever, man, I mean, I also got an announcement that they were offering half price off tickets. Is that usual? We're about a month away. Is that strange or usual?
That is a little, but the prices were so high.
Yeah.
50% off for $20,000.
Yeah, exactly.
What a bargain!
Yeah, exactly. What like Eddie Murphy said, what a bargain.
Yeah. So you think CJ should stay out also, Eugene?
Yeah, I mean,
Do you think he's being taken care of? You know what I mean? In other words, let me take a step back. Do you think that he has a financial incentive, or there's some money under the table, or something?
No. I don't think. Hey, I'll give you a prime example. At one point, I got stopped by the cops, and they said, "What's your name?"
One time.
Yeah, one time. I got stopped by one time. And
were you in that shirt?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't in that shirt.
I like that shirt. It's my favorite color. Man.
Is that canary yellow?
Yeah, look, you're gonna listen
Glorious,
to the story.
I love it.
So the guy asked me my name, and instead of, this is before I got to the Abe Lincoln thing, I gave him the Craig. I don't even want to give the guy's last name because he's a cop now. Craig something or other. And let's say Craig Johnson.
Is this one of your known aliases? Is this on your?
Nah. So I jet out of there, take the ticket, throw it in the garbage. I'm not gonna pay. Well, as luck would have it, they took that kind of malfeasance seriously, and they show up in a classroom and they arrest Craig Johnson. Drag him out of there, take him down. He goes, "Whoa, I didn't do anything. I don't own a red moped, and I don't have a mohawk either." Hey, wait a minute. I know a guy who's got a red moped and a mohawk, and he gave him a photo lineup, and they picked my photo. 2 seconds. He and I knew each other. What I was counting on is that he would get it, figure out that I was in desperate straits, and just said the first thing that popped into my head, and that he would just roll with it. Naturally, this guy became a cop later in life, and is not the kind of guy who would roll with it. Put the finger on me, and then I got arrested. So, the reality of it is, at this point now, CJ's probably sitting at home. If I'm him, I'm going, good one. That's funny. And I go about my business. I don't need a check for this. It's just, I was a prop. I got it. Cool. Later.
Well, speaking of being a prop, back to MMA. Eugene, you're Nate Diaz. Golden State Warrior Draymond Green caught in the Maymat crossfire, thinking McGregor was wearing his jersey, clapped back at Conor on Instagram. Quote, "Nate Diaz, Bay Area stand-up, whooped you in the ring," end quote. How do you maximize the shout-out?
If I am Nate?
Nate, yes.
You got to realize that Nate's got those Stockton dollars after his last fight. And apparently, I guess Nick is owing somebody what 12 mil is the allegation that he owes, which I feel fairly certain beyond a shadow of a doubt Nick will not be paying. I'd say Nate, it may not be set in real world terms, like not a kind of set that you or I would feel comfortable with, but for a guy who lived in his car in Stockton, man, I think he's probably doing okay, and I think he's well ensconced in the Bay Area pro sports community. Man, these guys all hang together. At any given time, you might find them with Andre Ward. They might be they get comp tickets to the Coliseum. They might be going to games. It was not unusual to see him with any one of these players. It's completely usual. And insofar as he is one of the first fighters that should reasonably be considered to round out that trilogy post the boxing hoo-ha, I think he just was probably happy for the shout out. It's nice. Thank you. Because I'm in front of the line, right? Doesn't make any sense. Well, you want to see him fight Jose Aldo again? No. Let's go to trilogy. And then what you'll see is Nate Diaz take the best 2 or 3, because I think what happened at number 2 was to get to number 3. And I love Conor McGregor, but the holes that I saw that were exhibited in number 1 weren't closed up by number 2.
Huh.
So what happened? I don't know, but I know they need to get to a number 3, and now they've got it. So if I'm Nate, steady as she goes.
Wow. What about you, Nate?
Exactly.
Nate?
The Eugene's point about Nate having enough money to be Stockton rich, that's what I'm hearing too, that Nate and Nick both got their hands on a little bit of cash, and they're not that interested in fighting, although Nate does want that McGregor trifecta. And so, yeah, he just stand pat, man. He's holding a winning hand.
So you're going to hold the winning hand. Nate, you're WME-IMG.
Oh,
Finally.
Your UFC heavyweight champion, Stipe Miocic, is refusing to defend his title for Monday. He told our quote, things definitely need to be changed. Something's got to change. It's not really fair, end quote. Do you care?
They're getting to the point where they're going to need to start caring pretty quick, because if you look at the calendar, they've got Jones and Cormier, and they're clearly banking on Jones to win that because they're talking smack about Jones versus Brock Lesnar at the end of the year. And that's it. That's all they got. And then possibly a McGregor-Nate Diaz rubber match. And then maybe GSP's going to come back, but they don't seem to be able to work that out. So it's getting to the point where they're going to start needing a heavyweight champion, even if he is not a draw. I think that they need to start caring. I think if I'm WME, I'm looking at paying back the $4.3 billion, and I'm at 1/6 of my pay-per-view estimated 1/6 of my pay-per-view revenue from this point last year. Time to make up some of those dollars. Pay the man, Danny. Pay the man. Get him in the cage. Make some money. Have some fights.
What about you, Eugene?
Well, there's a great thing where Andrew Dice Clay was on one of these TV shows that I don't watch. It was carried to me by my drummer who assiduously watches it. And at one point, these guys sell a movie, and Andrew Dice Clay has kind of helped them out make the trailer. And he goes, "Oh, we got this deal. It's great." And Andrew Dice Clay says, "Yeah, I'm doubling my fee." They go, "Double your fee? How could you?" He goes, "I've been getting fucked. Now I'm doing the fucking." And I think, if I'm Stipe, if I'm anybody with any kind of belt, why not? Why not stick it to? But you didn't ask me if I was Stipe. You asked me if I was WME.
Right.
If I'm WME, you know what? I what is that great line that Danzig is saying? At war with the planets, at war with mankind. Your relationship to your fighters, you understand that they don't look at anybody who works for them. The actors, agents do not look at actors as anything other than combatants. and they don't look at fighters as anything other than combatants. So if I'm WME, yeah, I'm yielding this time, but I'm going to get you on the comeback, and you can, because you're asking for that, which I don't reasonably have to give you, because who the fuck cares about you? You know, nobody's got a vendetta out for Tom Cruise, because when Tom Cruise shows up and that name is on the fucking marquee, everybody doubles their investment and goes home happy. You know, when Conor McGregor's name is on that marquee, everybody doubles their investment and goes home happy. You know, when Stipe Miocic's name is on the marquee, Stipe Miocic goes home happy.
Apparently not that happy.
Not that happy, but you got to remember, Larry Flint at one point was trying to seduce me into going to work for him, and I was like, man, I can't do it for 80. He's like, well, what about 90? I can't do it for 90. He goes, what about 100? I go, now we're starting to get around to where we're talking. He goes, what would it take for you to move to LA to do it full time? I said, it's not gonna happen, man. You can't. I live in the Bay Area. He goes, 110. I go, you know what? Okay, how about this? If you give me 110. You're going to be so angry and resentful that the first time I do something even slightly out of fucking cockeyed, you're going to get rid of me. So let's just cap it at 100. And it's a contract worker. And I tell you, if you don't like it, you just tell me. If I don't like it, I'll tell you. We'll walk away. Nobody's angry. Everybody's happy. So I'll take $10,000 less. I don't want you to hurt to make this happen. That's what Stipe should be doing.
How long did you last for Flint?
I lasted as long as the magazine lasted, man.
Oh, wow.
And I continued to work for Flint on a freelance basis after that. So yeah.
Did he get you on the like WME is going to get Stipe?
No, because I negotiated, and more significantly for guys who have money, I negotiated downward. With that $10,000, I bought myself breathing room. And if you don't believe that those guys, as rich as they are, give a fuck about $10,000, you'd be really wrong.
Yep, that's why they're rich.
It's just the idea of it. Every time they saw me in the hallway, it'd be like, that motherfucker stuck me.
$10,000 man, Eugene.
Geez, yeah, look at him. So now 100, that's a good deal. I care about the company. I care about the project. I come out smelling like a rose. To this day, those people love me.
Man, I guess it's a tip for everybody else. Take $10,000 left.
It's a tip for Stipe.
Well, Eugene, you're Dana White.
The bald one.
Yes. After stripping Germaine de Randamie of her UFC featherweight championship and throwing her under the bus for refusing to fight Chris Cyborg Justino, you made a September 2nd bantamweight match for her in her home country. How will you maximize her promotional worth and former championship status while minimizing the bad blood?
Well, I don't know if you read or saw the recent interview with Germaine, and I have to say that because of her known association with Knuckle Up and a friend of Knuckle Up status, and that she was a team member, I get information that you're not getting. But I'm also getting information from people like Sorrell who might be doing some reality management. The story as it came to me and that I broke on Knuckle Up was that he said the UFC and the Baldwin are like the worst girlfriends in the world, where they're constant continual phone calling, they're repeated and rabid requests for that, which is irrational, and that really she had started a job as a cop, couldn't have done the fight before September, wanted to do the fight after September. Fine. I don't know why she wouldn't have said that at this point in time. I don't know if that was a reason that had been in a private conversation shared with Sorrell that he subsequently shared with me. I don't know why it makes better press to say Cyborg is dirty, and that's why ultimately I'm refusing the fight, unless it was to provide cover for a for a fighter who may indeed need to be brought to heel after another victory and some crazy talk. In other words, is Cyborg clean? Don't know. is a former champion who refused to fight her, coming out and saying she refused to fight her because she suspects that she's not clean. Does that give the bald one a place and a space to run to? And it's a quid pro quo. I do you a favor, you do me a favor. Maybe we'll give you a shot down the road. Don't know. She went on to go into great detail and say, this is serious in a combat sport. This is serious. It could end up with somebody in a wheelchair or worse. She actually went there and talked about the guy who died, somebody who died in the cage or in a match recently. I don't know. There's a lot of sausage trading, and I at this point now, I don't know who to trust or who to believe, but I guarantee you it's tri-level chess, and we're not even halfway there to figuring out what's going on. Why are they doing it in Rotterdam? Why? Is this a gimme? Is this a payback? Is this remuneration for something?
So so if you are the bald one, so how are you treating this then? Like when you have to promote the fight, do you not promote? Do you delegate that to somebody else? Like what are you ginning up?
I mean, how much is he involved in promoting the fight anyway? I mean, I think it's pretty clear that he's gotten the message that people want to hear less from him insofar as he can help it or stop himself. But you treat the fight because he comes out smelling like a rose. He looks magnanimous in the face of DJ's accusations, and in the case of other fighters complaining about him. He sounds very much like a guy. He's like, that's fake news. I'm not that kind of guy. People love me. Look, I'm being perfectly nice to Jermaine. Who knows why he's here? Who knows why it's happening? Except to maybe set up when, Cyborg crushes Evinger, what's next? You got to develop fights down the road. And so Sean Shelby, also known as Keith, maybe this is part of an extended plan. At this point now, it's sufficiently confusing enough to make my head hurt. So I don't know. And I'm a half-ass insider on this one, and I can't tell you what's going on.
What about you, Nate?
Analyzing Eugene's analysis of this is like looking at one of those videos when they give like Black Widow spiders,
LSD,
PCP, and then have them spin the web. It's like the combination of a tiny bit of what he thinks is inside information and then his conception of tri-level chess, and it's normally Eugene's analysis is lucid to the point, but
that's how fucked up this matter has made him, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
No,
I was just gonna let the guy assassinate my character because I got something for him later on.
I got my back scratch, Eugene.
Yeah,
I'll not hesitate.
I'll let you dig a hole, my friend. Dig the hole.
No, if I'm Dana White, I keep doing what I'm doing. I keep being a dickhead and a loudmouth, and I keep trashing my fighters, and I just, wait for the string to get pulled because nobody's pulled it yet. Like, that's what I do. And I don't think this is tri-level chess. I think this is dumbasses being petty and vindictive and stupid. And I think that goes for all 3 points in that triangle, and it's just foolishness. That's what I think. I think that's where Eugene is going wrong. He's trying to ascribe rational motives to stupidity.
Could be.
That's crazy.
This is what I like with the. This is like, whether it's a Trump administration or the latter day imagination that Hitler had a secret V2 rocket weapon that was going to save the war. The inability. It wasn't going to save the war without.
And he did have jet planes.
Yeah, maybe if he hadn't chased out Einstein. Maybe, I tried to watch some of that on the airplane coming back from New York, Man in the High Castle, and I was just kind of like, okay. I'm just not so. But it's a kind of magical thinking that we're gonna get saved. We're gonna get saved. We're gonna get now.
Man, so Nate, you're ESPN. You awarded UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Johnson the ESPY for Fighter of the Year and went straight to commercial without giving him a chance to go on stage and speak. So he spoke his mind Ara Hawani and engaged in a profanity-laced tirade against you in some, quote, change your shit up, ESPY, end quote. Will you?
That was dirty. That was dirty, Lexi. That was a low blow. Using the Munchkin voice for DJ. That was just Yeah, hide behind your coffee cup, Mr. Slandering the little guy. This is so you're ESPN. You don't care, obviously. Like, you don't give two shits. You're busy laying off everybody in Bristol, Connecticut. Like, why would you care about what, this runt fighter that nobody cares about has to say?
It's ratings runt. So we don't, engage in that kind of stuff. Ratings.
I mean, yeah, they patently gave him the ESPY just because they didn't want to give it to Mayweather again. Ronda Rousey's not around, and they don't like Conor McGregor. So, it was a pity ESPY in the first place.
Yeah.
It was.
It's funny. I would have expected that same sort of pity would have motivated people to give me an MMA award this year, but I guess not.
They just want to see you burn, baby.
Yeah, we're waiting for the barbecue.
It's like, listen, wait. There's a new person comes in. This Eugene Robinson. Eugene Robinson. You know what's going to happen, Eugene Robinson? One of these, right? Yeah. No, what do you mean? Just watch.
You know what? It reminds me of Mark Mothersbaugh. You do know what happened to Devo, right?
They got shelved.
But I mean, their record sales are really good.
Yeah, they were doing great. They were putting out hit records, and their record company, just as new executives came along, decided they didn't like these guys and just stopped putting out the records.
And the quote was, "Fuck Devo," and that was it.
Yep.
I felt bad for Devo. I kind of had some Schadenfreude when it happened to Rollins, when he describes being called over to his business manager's house, and I don't know whether he actually said this. I don't remember clearly. But in my imagination, the business manager is sitting in a chaise lounge by the pool with those green and white accounts payable, accounts receivable things spread out on his lap. And he kind of looks up at Henry and goes, "It's over." And Henry's like, "Oh, what do you mean? You mean like it's the day?" He goes, "It is over." And then I imagine Henry staggering out of the gates of this mansion, to his BMW or his Mercedes or whatever it was that he was driving then, and driving off into a Los Angeles sunset with Don Henley playing in the background. I'm sorry, I went a little far field there.
Yes, you're just fantasizing about bad things happening to Henry Rollins.
So the ESPN for DJ.
Yeah, what the fuck does that mean? I mean, it doesn't. I know guys who have awards and are living under bridges. Well, that's not really true, but close. I mean, let's talk to Mark Coleman. See
Wes Sims has some awards.
Yeah, no shit, man. Or Mark Coleman trying to sell his old UFC belts. I mean, you got to understand, there's terrific power in knowing that in 5 years you're not gonna have to deal with these guys. It's a terrific power. I mean, giving you something nice doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, for me, when I heard this, when I heard the interview, it's just Demetrius Johnson. Like, he's always on the cusp. Like, almost every interview of just, you're like, oh yeah, and then you're like, shut the fuck up. Like, there's a certain point where it just gets into like really whiny, just shrill, annoying territory, and like you see, like that's why they don't hook you up. It's like because you fucking complaining and whining about shit. Like, shut the fuck up. It's just it's so if this thing happened, and again, it's like, oh well, I guess his new persona is like dropping F-bombs and like I'm gonna drop profanity laced tirades and like this is shit and like, oh, I'm angsty. It's like,
one of the weirdest things that ever happened to me in a pop media thing, well, not just me, but I mean everybody with eyes. Can any of you recall that first video where MC Hammer clearly decided he needed to go street?
Oh, that's right. Pumps in a bump. Oh, pumps in a bump.
I don't even remember the song, man, but I just felt so bad.
That one or the Funky Headhunter? It was like,
yeah, I think it may be the Funky Headhunter where he's wearing a watch cap and a black jacket.
Yeah, that was the Funky Headhunter. Pumps and bumps at a party.
Yeah, and trying to be hard and. And I've seen it. Like, I remember when Vinny Stigma was just a badly skateboarding, guy in the Lower East Side, one of the few people who had fought it over from punk rock to hardcore. And he see me, he's like, Eugene, now I got it now. I go, what's that, man? He goes, I'm gonna start a skate band. I go, but Vinny, you don't skate. He goes, I'm learning. you know. And then, you know, last time I saw it, which was actually about 6 days ago, Agnostic Front was playing like a 30,000 person festival in South America. So, you know, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, man.
And was Vinny getting to play air guitar?
At this point, yeah.
I love that. I mean, the guy gets paid to dance around with the guitar that's not plugged in. And
he can play now, but he might still be having help. I don't know. I told you my favorite time was I actually interviewed him for a piece on Ozzy. Did I tell you this story already? And he was talking about how he grew up in this building. His father grew up in this building. His grandfather, he goes, my grandfather used to make wine in the basement of this building. And I was like, oh, man, when was that? He was like, back in 1921. I go, Vinny, that was during Prohibition. And he just went full Sicilian on me. Just looked like I didn't say anything. Just looked at me.
What are you going to rat him out to eternal revenue?
Exactly, man. It was like that great story about the woman following a funeral procession in Sicily. You know, she's crying and sobbing, and a journalist goes up and says, you know, who died? And she stops crying, looks up and goes, somebody died? Fuck, man, he didn't give a shit. 1921, his father was making wine during Prohibition in the basement. Dumb and Deaf, D&D. Wasn't going to say anything.
So you guys feel the same thing with regard to Mighty Mouse, though, in terms of...
Well, I think the whole answer is Mighty Mouse needs to get behind my Tiny Detective TV show concept.
I think you're right.
I think he needs to be in costume, in character, showing everybody in Hollywood he can play this part.
You know, and I'm sure they still have stuff in the wardrobe from Lance Link.
Lance Link. What can you say to like? I'll get Lance Link.
I'm just thinking about
Mata Hari. I love that show.
Yeah, I love that show. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh, Lancelot. But, you know, they got the car. They still got the car. He could drive that car.
Oh, man.
They got the outfits, you know. They got all that shit.
None of our viewers have any idea who Lancelot Lake is. But
guys, seriously, you gotta. I hope, because you know the thing is that when you reach a certain time frame, you don't know if there's anything that's on YouTube from certain things.
Oh man,
you can search or Google like Lancelot Link Secret Chimp intro. It's the funniest shit. It's like monkeys. Like,
hey man, I tried to bust off with a Horseshack mention in a meeting today. Everybody in the room under 30 was like, "What? Who's Horseshack?" You know.
Dude, I had that with Star Wars. 20 years ago, I had that with Star Wars. I was thinking like, yeah, like, you know, Luke Skywalker. I'm like,
yeah, man.
I was like, Star Wars? Like,
yeah.
Fuck. Anyway.
Did you 2 Live Crew? Did you say Misa Honey?
Dude just died, man. Dude just died.
So Lucas Campbell did?
No, the guy, Fresh Kid Prince or whatever his name was.
Yeah, one of those dudes.
Oh man.
What, you just learned that?
No, I didn't know.
He's like, man.
I have fucking Google alerts about the 2 Live Crew. I mean,
I have my Google alerts set to 2 Live Crew.
Yeah.
Oh man, well, since we're talking about people back with you know, the heyday back in the day, Eugene, what can OJ Simpson learn from MMA in wake of his being granted parole?
Fuck, man. You know, don't stick your fingers out. You know, like Big John McCarthy goes, stick your fingers out, man. Seriously, don't stick them in anybody's eyes. Don't stick them in anybody's necks. Don't stick them in anybody's ribs. Hold it down. You know, I mean, if you want a psychomonograph here, I'm going to have to say that the same guilt that caused him to drive that fucking Bronco to God knows where, huddled in the back seat with a .30 pistol in his mouth, is the same guilt that caused him to, I'm no psychologist, but I say it's the same guilt that caused him to act out with this whole Vegas thing. I mean, you had to know that I was going to, you know, to turn out badly. In other words, you know how cops catch most people? They fucking confess. They confess. You know, the human need for confession. I was trying to explain to a friend of mine, you can't, it's ironclad. Smart people partition their confession. You know, they tell somebody else who's or they tell parts of it to other people so they can get it. They can they can get it. It's like the three infernal jokes. I'm not going to go into it. It's a short story by Lord Dunsany, but a guy has been given 3 jokes by the devil and won't get any rest until he gets rid of the jokes. So the jokes actually cause people to die, and so rather than kill a whole court of people, a whole club full of people, he figures he's going to unburden himself by telling it to this one guy who's telling you the story on a lonely road. So, of course, the guy hears the story and then runs away. I mean, this is, I
That's all you can do. What about you, Nate?
Now, what's the question? Are you asking me if I'm OJ?
What can OJ Simpson learn from MMA?
I said to keep his fingers out of people's eyes.
Ah, I see. What can OJ Simpson learn?
I should also say this for you, those dummies who right now have their fingers poised over the keys. I never liked OJ Simpson. I didn't like him back in the 70s. I don't like him now. The Jay-Z line sums up perfectly my attitude about OJ. Never liked that guy, and I believe he was guilty as fucking sin.
I mean, neither. It's just something about him. He's always corny ass motherfucker. Like,
I hated him.
Corny, like goofball, like not likable goofball, just like.
Yep. And I didn't forget for a bit that he wasn't black until he got in trouble. Fuck that guy. All these black folks going, well, this is an answer to Rodney King. Maybe, but that guy was an #1 fucking prick from day one. And if you've ever been around professional athletes, you know precisely the kind of prick he was,
So, Nate.
I always flunk this question. What can OJ learn from MMA? Let's see. I'm trying to wow. Because I think OJ just needs to go away. And so
a dummy like that can't hold it down, man. He just can't,
His burn rate exceeds his cash flow considerable. And I don't think that his 10 years in prison or whatever is going to solve that problem. I mean, I think he did it for money. I think he thought he could get away with anything after allegedly getting away with murder or whatever. And I think he thought he was going to get away with the robbery too. I don't
think so. Yeah.
I do. Yeah, I really do. I think.
So, what do you think about? So, what MMA fighter, I guess, has hung it up or had an opportunity to go back in the case? Like, you know what?
Yeah, Nate, come on, get with the concept.
It would have to be with somebody like that, a fighter who.
Trying here.
He got lucky in one fight.
I know what he can.
Got obliterated the next one, or suspended. Got drug suspension.
I got it. Tank Abbott, Scott Ferozzo, 2, the backyard brawl. About 10 years ago, the 2 of them fought in somebody's backyard for a small pile of cash, and it was on YouTube.
I fucking broke that on Knuckle Up.
And that's, I think, where OJ needs to go. I think that kind of outside-the-box marketing. Like, I'd love to see OJ fighting somebody for change in somebody's backyard. That's the kind of career I have in mind for OJ.
Yeah, except last time I looked, somebody was saying that he was going to get his $25,000 a month pension.
NFL pension?
Yeah, NFL pension. I mean,
doesn't the family of the
Goldmans, can they get that, or is that protected?
No. I think the pension is protected. You can't I mean, I guess
you can't garnish his.
Yeah, I don't think you can. Not a pension. It was kind of like a 401k. You can't touch it. And under normal circumstances, pre-jail, I think he might have found it hard to live on $25,000 a month. Post jail, I think he'll do quite well living on $25,000 a month.
Huh. Well, bring us to our teachable moment.
And if you don't think that there's going to be a media fucking scrum to get this guy back in front of a camera, in front of a mic and a camera, you're disgustingly wrong. Sadly wrong.
Yeah, we'll be there to watch.
I won't.
I will.
That's my line. Eugene stole my line.
I'm like Pig Will from Richard Scarry. I will. I'll watch it. Teachable moment. Nate, your former White House press secretary, Sean Spicer. Just when you're at peace with President Donald Trump and the pace of your job, Anthony Scaramucci swept in and, according to Political, broke you. What can we learn from your torrid tale of Trump?
I mean, why would you take a job in the administration? Like, he shits on everybody except his daughter. So my take would be, don't work for Trump. That would be my takeaway from the Spicer experience. Although I do think his decision to stop allowing cameras at the White House press briefings, that was so meta. And I really think he did it just because Trump was watching and shitting on him because of his poor performances, because he was put in an impossible position. I don't think anybody could have
sympathy for Spicy.
Sympathy for Spicy. Even Ari Fleischer, like an arch lying genius like Ari Fleischer or Donald Rumsfeld, I don't think could have pulled that job off. So, I think Spicer's true peak moment was when he turned off the cameras just to shut his boss out. Because his boss isn't going to Trump's not going to be reading the New York Times article that summarizes what was said. It needs to be on Fox TV or it didn't happen. So that's what was up with that, in my opinion. Otherwise, Spicer was just an unbelievable schmuck. I mean, when Donald Trump is telling you to get better suits, have you looked at Trump's suits? And he's right, man, get a better suit, dude. So that's all I got for Spicy.
How about you, Eugene?
What was it? So hold on.
What can we learn? It's our teachable moment. What can we learn from Sean Spicer's tale of Trump?
You ever see that movie Mephisto?
I've heard you talk about it before.
It's with Klaus Maria Brandauer. It's about some arts and theater people in Berlin in 1933, and those who play along and those who don't play along. We're talking about the Nazi rise to power. And Brandauer plays a guy who, of course, goes along to get along. And you see how well that works out. You know what? Never works out. Never fucking works out, man. It never, ever, ever works out. So, and at this point now, the landscape is so incredibly scorched. Where is Spicer going to go? Is he going to go to Fox? Nope. Is he going to go to Heritage Foundation? Probably not. The Hudson Institute?
There's
probably
a six-figure job out there for that asshole. I guarantee it.
Where? Who? Where?
I don't know. Somewhere. There's a lot of lobbying, a lot of stuff.
Also a book deal.
It depends. It depends.
Some of that Russian money.
It depends, right? It depends on how irked he is, and I'm sure every day since he's left that job, he's gotten up in bed, put his feet on the floor, and gone like this. Which way is the wind blowing, man? Because as soon as those winds start turning against Trump, and believe me, it's an eventuality.
Believe me,
it's not an if, it's a when. Timing his book right could make him some six figures. It could make him a lot of money. Yep. But he can't. He's got to hold his fire. And until he holds his fire, what then? What then? What does he do for then? What does he use to buy Fig Newtons with then?
Man.
So yeah. If I am sorry, I'm hearing noises in the background. If I am Spicer, I was like, well, yeah, that's something I'll never do again. I mean, you think Sessions probably laughed his ass off last week? He's laughing now. I don't think he's laughing. And I think anybody in the mooch. I think the mooch is smart enough not to be laughing at all. I think the mooch is following Mae West's advice. Keep a diary, buddy. Someday it'll keep you. I think that's where we are with that one. So.
Well, it's time for Kid Nate's heel turn. It's been 2 weeks.
I know, and it's Jeff Sessions. I don't know if it's Sessions or Trump, but this combination of Sessions moving full speed ahead with the Nancy Reagan drug war program. He's all in for asset forfeiture and recriminalizing marijuana in states where it's been legalized. And I don't know if he's looked at the polls lately, but this stuff polls about as well as anthrax. Antibiotic resistant gonorrhea is more popular than bringing back the DARE program. And Sessions just can't shut up. I mean, even the Republicans are not down with this stuff. There's a group in Texas doing the Lord's work called Right on Crime. That's like the bow-tied right-wing nut job my wife went to law school with. When I mentioned that I knew this guy in Texas that was doing all this work on, trying on prison reform and reducing sentences and improving conditions in prison and everything. And she was like, wait, what's his name? And I'm like, this guy, that's his name. And she's like, no way. Because he was like the Ted Cruz of her law school class. And if the Ted Cruz of the 2002 law school class at the University of Texas is devoting himself to criminal justice reform, the ship has sailed on Jeff Sessions' asset forfeiture, Nancy Reagan bullshit. And the fact that he's doing it at the same time as Trump is gnawing the plank out from under him is just classic. Like, you know, and now I just saw an article in the Daily Beast where one of Sessions' cronies leaks to the Beast, Sessions can take it and he's not going anywhere because he's got an agenda to implement. And it's just like, okay, you know, I mean, if going all in on the war against marijuana is worth it to you to get, you know, ass to mouth from Trump every day, then, you know, have at it, dude. Enjoy.
Yeah, it's crazy and disturbing.
It really is. It's like Nero having incest with his mother before he killed her. It's
or like, you know, in 1945, you know, killing the last few transports of people to Auschwitz. You know, I mean, I've read reports where they were like, "Come on, are you serious? The fucking Russians are 100. I mean, this is something you don't say to a German. Are you serious?"
Yeah, they don't, because they don't have any sense of humor. It's, yeah.
So, speaking of being serious and humor, Eugene, your Lost Battalion.
Oh, sorry. I'm expecting people here at 11:30, so I keep hearing noises, man.
Okay.
Well, we no discussion of Lost Battalion is not gonna be complete without the person I dedicated the entire round number 262 Knuckle Up, specifically Chris Weidman, and somebody raised a point. There are no new entries into to the Lost Battalion, and if you watch a show, you know that that, you know, Chris is indeed still next to his woodpile, enveloped in mist, regardless of the wind. But somebody, one of the commenters, either I don't remember where, made the point. Mikael Telleria, I think, is his stage name or his online name, made the point, which I meant to go in and give him kudos for, but it's a beautiful point. The entire division is mystified.
Yep. Fish
rots from the head down. I look at the head is Bisping, and I realized he was fucking right. How could I have missed that? It was staring me straight in the fucking face, and I missed it. The middleweights are like, and he gave it a breakdown in the comments here, like, where's Rockhold? Where's Waldo? Where is he? Where is it? Jacare? Well, Whitaker with the fucking bum knee? What? Bisping? What? It's the entire division. I'm not saying the entire division is Lost Battalion, but it's as close as you're going to get. So why not entertain crazy stuff that the leader of the Lost Battalion might say? He's saying, let's run up over this hill. When you're running around in the mist, it doesn't matter which way you run. Does it really?
Can't argue with that one, man. Especially with all that Twitter and social media beefing between middleweights for fights that are never going to happen. That's the thing.
Well, you know what? It looks really. It suddenly looks like really freaking smart. You know, all of a sudden, it's like, Jesus Christ, man. You know, he's not the leader of the Lost Battalion for nothing. Not for nothing. I mean, this guy is making all the right Lost Battalion moves, as far as I can see. Right?
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for joining us. Follow us on Twitter, EUGENE'S, Robinson, Lexio, Kid Nate. Facebook at MMA Puncholes.
Puncholes.
Give us a thumbs up, Eugene.
Up yours. Okay, here, extra points. Old bondage up yours.
X-ray specs.
There you go.
Yeah, we're all dudes with these. Yeah,
old dudes with back scratches.
The commenters didn't know who Devo was, so.
Oh
man! You cheese eaters! You did that on purpose, just as the show was ending to bring me down, didn't you?
I'd wanted to ruin your dinner party, Eugene.
Right.
So join those that don't know Devo and educate them by leaving comments on YouTube. Stand up for your generation. Subscribe.
You gotta fight for your right.
Oh, Lord.
That's not Devo.
You know that? No, I want to run the trifecta.
That's right.
Then he's going, what's he talking about? You're gonna, who are the Beastie Boys? What's that?
That's right. Man. Subscribe to MMANation.com on YouTube, MMA Nation, iTunes, Visit Bloody Elbow by Oxford's Thin Black Duke. Now, see, that's something you should know since it just came out.
Just came out. You got no freaking excuse. You're exactly right. So
right. Wherever fine music is sold. For past episodes of the show, check out our If I Did It playlist on MMANation.com, and be sure to check out all three of us on Amazon.com. We'll be back next week with another song, If I Did It, and we don't know what we're going to be talking about yet because the PR mistakes have yet to be made.